Let us read again the words of the book. The believers, the Jews, the Christians and Sabi'ans, whoever believes in Allah and the last day and does what is good shall receive their rewards from their Lord. They shall have nothing to fear and they shall not grieve. Al-Baqara, verse 62. Who is fairer in speech, ahsana qaulan, than one who calls unto Allah and performs the righteous deed, amila, salihan, and says, I am one of those who submit, al-muslimin. Fussilat, Surah 41, verse 33. So 41:33 tells us that Islam is based on the axiomatic truth of Allah's existence and belief in the hereafter. It is linked to doing what is righteous, al-amal, al-salih, and because al-Islam is a generic term that includes the particular to doing what is fair and just, al-ihsan, the pillar of Eman. If someone does what is righteous, he is one of the muslimun, those who assent to God, and it does better, and it does not matter whether he is a follower of Muhammad, the believers, a follower of Moses, the Jews, follower of Jesus, the Christians, or whether he follows any other religious creed or religious community of whatever name, the Sabi'ans. The existence of Allah and the hereafter, and that includes the resurrection of the dead, is an axiomatic truth that is indisputable for every Muslim. If we accept this premise, it will be clear what is meant by the phrase, the religion before Allah is Islam. And if anyone desires a religion other than Islam, never will it be accepted of him. It means that the only religion God can accept is the one inherently linked to belief in Him, which is Islam. Islam in the context means the opposite of disbelief, and it is disbelief that is a religiously held form of disbelief which Allah cannot accept. It is only logical that Allah cannot accept from His creation a religion that refuses to believe in God altogether. So now we will explain what descent from God means. In order to be better in understanding the terms Islam and al-muslimun in the book, we hence also need to study the term opposite to Islam, which is al-ijram, connoting a descent from God, and the opposite term to al-muslimun, which is al-mujrimun, those who dissent from God, the opposite. The book says, shall we treat those who are al-muslimun in the same way as those who are al-mujrimun? What has come upon you that you judge in such a wise? Surah Al-Qalam 68, verse 35 to 36. The root of the word al-mujrim is JRM, Jim Ra Mim, whose basic meaning is to cut off. In modern Arabic, we call a thief or a murderer a mujrim, as in a culprit or a criminal, because a mujrim has cut off his ties with law and order and has given free rein to his instincts and desires. This is exactly how the book uses the term, because a culprit in this context is someone who has cut off his ties with God, who denies His existence, who does not believe in the hereafter, the resurrection of the dead, and the day of judgment. Unlike a Muslim who freely assents to God, a mujrim is someone who freely dissents from Him. In modern parlance, a mujrim would be called an atheist, a dissenter from God. In the book, those who cut off their ties with God are defined as those who reject the possibility of a resurrection after death, who deny the existence of God, and who tells lies about the hereafter. They are also described as those who, with their own eyes, suddenly have come to see what they have always denied. They will come out of their graves and be dumbstruck, while their astonishment will increase even more when they realize that they are without being interrogated by Allah, being sent straight to hell, whose existence they had always denied. Why are they're not interrogated by Allah? It is because a mujrim, a dissenting atheist, does not believe in the existence of God. He has no membership, basically. This alone sends him straight to hell. He will not even be asked by God about his acts in this world. The reason is that he has no account with God. But in my personal experience, most of the people who call themselves atheists, from my experience, are just as so in public, or just means that they are searching but haven't made a connection, or it's a man-made process they must go through and not by natural inclination. Yet a true atheist does not expect a judgment, so therefore he's not getting one. The omission of prayer, the breaking of the fast, the tampering with weights and scales, corruption in trade and commerce and such, which are all sins that Allah might forgive, and a dissenter Muslim, will not even be mentioned in the case of a dissenter, because a mujrim has cut off his ties with God. A person cannot be made accountable for things whose consequences for the afterlife has never been acknowledged by him in the first place. The book says, except the companions of the right hand, they will be in gardens of delight. They will question each other and ask of the sinners, what led you into fire? They will say, we were not of those who are connected to God. Musallin, that's the word. Nor were we of those who fed the indigent. But we used to talk vanity with vain talkers, and we used to deny the day of judgment. Surah Al-Muddathir, verses 39 to 46. Some misguided exegetists interpreted the word those who are connected to God as those who prayed the ritual salah prayer, the physical prayer. However, the Arabic term al-muslimin in the previous verse does not refer to the ritual prayer. Otherwise, it would mean that those who omit the ritual prayer or fasting a day also deny the existence of God. It might make them the same and equal, which is simply not the case. Excuse me. It would be a gross injustice to call them those who cut off their ties with God, al-mujrimun, only because they missed a prayer. In verses, we notice that those who deny the day of judgment and those who deny the existence of God are regarded as those who have left the realm of Islam and have instead entered the realm of Ijram. We therefore do not interpret the expression those who are al-musallin as literally those who perform the ritual prayer, in the sense of a prostration of the body, but more figuratively as those who connect themselves to God, sila. Surely one does not need rituals if one wants to strengthen one's ties with God. For example, one might say, "Oh Lord, help me," or "Praise and glory be to God." But no specific bodily gestures is needed to enhance one's spiritual attachment to Allah. There is clearly a difference between a person's individual attachment to God and a ritualized way to express it. This distinction is evident in the way the book uses words derived from the triliteral root salawa, sad lam waw. If it wants to refer to the connection between the believer and God by way of rituals, it used salawa with the letter waw, as in Surah Al-Nur 24 verse 37, But if it refers to the personal spiritual link with God, which does not need to be outwardly expressed by any conventional ritual, it uses salah. We must never ignore these subtle differences, and if the text employs two derivatives of the same lexem when it could have used an identical expression, it indicates a difference. It indicates that we are meant to clearly distinguish between prayer in the sense of a ritual and prayer in the sense of a spiritual connection between God and the believer, giving praise to Allah mentally or verbally, but not by a movement of the body. In sum, the term Islam expresses a connection to God, a belief in Allah and the hereafter. Those who establish that spiritual connection, al-musallun, are those who assent to God, al-muslimun. Excuse me. While those who perform the ritual prayer of kneeling and prostrating, rak'ah and sujood, in Arabic is called, that is salah, are those who believe, al-mu'minun. Thank you for following part 3, and we would like to hear your thoughts down below. Part 4 will follow, and thank you.